Hey guys, it's me, Sausage. Last night I watched Fantastic Four for some reason. The Marvel film from 2005. It's on Disney Plus, and I just can't stop thinking about how bad it is. And I discovered some movie mistakes as well, so we're going to talk about those. So Fantastic Four came out in 2005 as more and more people were like hopping on the superhero movie bandwagon kind of thing. Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 had come out before that. They're like legendary catalysts of this new superhero movie boom that we're experiencing still today. You had other great titles like Daredevil and Batman Begins that had just recently hit the screen as well, to a lot of positive reviews, not to mention one of the greatest superhero thrillers of the century, The Adventures of Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D. Along with these gems were some pretty garbage films, such as Marvel's Elektra, DC's Catwoman, and one of the biggest smoking turds of all time, The Punisher. And that brings us back to Fantastic Four, which is also very stinky, like a turd. Not only does the plot not make a whole lot of sense, but neither do the characters. To top it all off, it's rife with movie mistakes, so let's just get into it and talk about Fantastic Four. This movie starts out in a rush. Reed, the main guy, he's later known as Mr. Fantastic. He's strapped for cash at the beginning. He's a super genius. He owns his own lab. He went to MIT, but for some reason he has no fucking cash, and he needs to, go and grovel for money at the feet of Dr. Doom, the other guy. So he pitches his idea to Victor Von Doom, or Dr. Doom as he's later known, who agrees to take him into space to do the experiment that he wants to do. What the experiment was supposed to prove or help with or scientifically explain, I don't know. It's a mystery, but Victor's all about it. Victor's like, yeah, we'll do it. Just, I'll get some money from my investors. We'll go to space. And despite his investors being, hesitant about it, they're probably pissed the fact that he's going to waste their money on this experiment that no one can fucking explain, Yeah, did I mention that Victor is also, like, banging Mr. Fantastic's ex? Or something like Mr. Fantastic's ex-love interest at MIT is now Victor Von Doom's like soon-to-be engaged sweetheart, and of course they're both going to space with Mr. Fantastic, and so yeah. Anyway, it literally cuts from this scene to space. It like literally hard cuts from like the scene where they're like investing and like talking about going to space, and they're already in space doing the experiment. The whole crew's already there. To do whatever the fuck experiment it is they're doing. And they have more people as well. They have, like, Ben Grimm, who is Mr. Fantastic's childhood best friend / astronaut or something. And he later becomes the Thing, the rock guy. And also they have Sue Storm's brother Johnny, who is apparently an astronaut too, or some shit. But all that really, like, the movie makes you think all that he's really good at is just having sex with girls. And he's a douche, of course. I really can't remember why he was there, but actually he later becomes Captain America, which is a pretty sweet crossover, in my opinion. I want to see that movie, where they turn Flame Guy into Captain America, because that'd be a cool origin story. So they're in space doing the experiment, and of course it goes wrong, and they all get bukkakied with cosmic radiation, and everything just sort of goes dark, and before you know it, they just kind of wake up in Earth in a hospital recovering for some reason. Of course, it's unknown how they got off the space station. They had just been given a juicy blast of intergalactic energy, but they did. They got off, and slowly they all discover that they have been granted their powers from this accident. And the rest of the movie begins to unfold from here. So I won't tell you in detail about how the rest goes, but I do have some notes on it. So the plot, as with any superhero movie, should have essentially heroes and villains, right, and a compelling reason why they're fighting each other. At least someone should have a valid reason why they're a hero or a villain, right? Something. But even though they kind of explain it, like there's no real reason for Dr. Doom to be an evil villain. I can't figure out why he turned evil after this accident in space. He just did. There's no reason for him to have a grudge against Mr. Fantastic. Like, he won out against him in the end. Truly, he's got $1 billion company, and I know like his investors are mad at him and stuff, but that doesn't seem like enough to compel you to want to kill everybody, The only thing that could possibly compel his character development from complacent CEO genius rich guy to evil piece of shit hellbent on destroying his colleagues is like something in his backstory that we're not privy to. They don't explain his backstory in the movie. They just say he comes from another country. They just say, oh, he comes from, Latvia or some shit. And I guess maybe that was enough for people back in the day. Oh, he used to be foreign, must be evil, Nevertheless, the climax of the film is, of course, the battle between Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four. Despite me not really understanding why they were fighting each other, that was the climax. The film is also full of just the cheesiest jokes and scenes, namely involving Jessica Alba and Chris Evans. Of course, Chris Evans burns his clothes off when he goes into fire mode, so if he's not wearing his special suit, he's got to cover his junk with whatever awkward object is nearby. And Jessica Alba also needs to be naked or wearing her special suit to turn invisible. So naturally, there's this scene where they're in a crowd of people and she needs to be invisible, so she goes invisible and just starts stripping down right in front of everybody, but invisible. And for some reason, all the people around her are just like, whoa, where'd she go? She's like completely fucking invisible. And like they're incapable of noticing the literal floating bra like right in front of their face. The cheesiest scene in the whole movie involves Johnny Storm being experimented on by Mr. Fantastic in their penthouse lab in this Manhattan skyscraper that they like own or something. And he's in a titanium enclosure, and Mr. Fantastic is taking readings from him while he heats himself up. And he's like getting way too hot for the enclosure, and Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm are like, "Stop, Johnny! You're gonna melt the whole world. You're gonna fucking melt the atmosphere down." And he's like, "You're not the boss of me!" And he like melts the fuck out of this titanium enclosure. At which point, Sue Storm is like, "You could have reached temperatures that would ignite the whole atmosphere. You're so reckless and fucking sexy, and you have sex with women all the time, And Johnny's like, yeah, I know, I'm a badass. I don't care that I could have ignited the atmosphere. And in fact, I'm going to go to the X Games right now. I'm going to fucking peace out of here and just head to the X Games and fucking do a suplex Steve across the fucking... He's like, and he goes to the X Games and fucking like wins. That's what he does. And like they're watching the X Games on TV and they see him and they go, oh, look, there's Johnny at the X Games. Oh no, Just like, for real, man, for real. Not to mention, so being a man of science myself, I wanted to Google the temperatures that they were talking about and see if it was at all possible to ignite the atmosphere. Of course it's not. They're talking like Johnny's reaching temperatures of 4,000 degrees Kelvin, which, is hot enough to be really hot fire, apparently. Fire burns at, 1,300 degrees Kelvin. It's not going to blow up the universe. It's going to work like fireworks, just really hot. Until you get to, when you get to really, really high temperatures, yeah, sure. But the surface of the sun is apparently 6,000 degrees Kelvin. And then the atmosphere of the sun, like the outer atmosphere of the sun is over 1,000,000 degrees Kelvin. So I know this is some trifling shit, but if you're going to do experiments on a guy that you think could maybe ignite the atmosphere on fire or something, why are you doing the experiments in your penthouse in Manhattan? Why are you doing it in the most population-dense place that you could possibly find? Not to mention, he could just burn down your apartment building, at the very least. You've got a guy on fire in your apartment building. So the movie's plot is basically forced upon you with no warning and no real motivation, but there's still redemption in good characters, right? Unfortunately, not for this movie. The only characters that really develop are Ben Grimm and Mr. Fantastic, basically the two main guys, and Doctor Doom, but we've already talked about him and his weird development. Ben Grimm's story is just fucking ridiculous. He comes back from space as the Thing. He's a huge rock monster. He's got super strength. He weighs 1,000,000 pounds, and he's very embarrassed about his appearance, naturally. So he goes to show his dear wife what he looks like. He's got to show her sometime. But he's very embarrassed, and she has no idea what happened. Nobody told her that the space station that Ben was on had been on the receiving end of a solar flare's money shot or anything. I don't know how she didn't know, how it wasn't on the news or something. Anyway, he's outside their house calling her. She's got this banner across the front of the house that's like, "Welcome home, Dad. We love you from space." Apparently they have kids too. He calls her from outside and says, "Come out to see me. I don't want to come inside yet." She goes out to see him. She sees that he's deformed and fucked up, and she gets scared and runs back inside, even though she knows he's her husband. It's damn, dude. And that's not all. Later, the gang's on the Brooklyn Bridge doing a little bit of like saving the civilians. They save people from this horrible accident that happens on the Brooklyn Bridge, and they're being touted as heroes afterwards. Everybody's clapping. The first responders are there like, yeah, they're all shaking hands. Everybody's super happy. Everybody was saved. It was a success for the Fantastic Four. In the midst of all this celebration, they're celebrating saving these people. His fucking wife comes up right in front of him and puts her wedding ring, takes her wedding ring off her finger and puts it on the ground in front of him, just sets it down, like tear rolls down her eye, just puts her damn wedding ring on the ground right in front of him while people are just clapping. Everybody's clapping and she's just like crying. She's like, meh. Puts her wedding ring down, and he like looks over there and he's devastated, of course. And Mr. Fantastic sees it too, and I'm just like, God damn, this is the coldest bitch in the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe for real. Like, holy shit, I still can't wrap my head around this part of the movie. What kind of, who is this person? You know? Oh man, I'll spoil this part of the end of the movie for some closure. Ben, the Thing, ends up with a way better chick than his old wife. But, like, what happened to his old family? Didn't he have kids or some shit? I can't. That poor guy, he got the shortest end of the Fantastic Four stick. So, we're coming to a close here, but I'm going to tell you about the last part of the movie. Just the part that I absolutely couldn't get past, the part that compelled me to make this video. So by far the most glaring mistake of the movie takes place in a scene where Ben walks into a bar and skips a record spinning on the jukebox with every step that he takes. The song playing on the record was Taking Back Sunday's Error Operator, which was released in conjunction with the movie in 2005. Now, as some of you know, in order for a song to be played on a record player, it needs to exist on a vinyl record. So we know there was a record player playing in the scene because Ben's weight skips it as he walks. So I did some research, and of course, it turns out that Error Operator wasn't pressed to vinyl until 2017, a whole 12 years later. This mistake is glaring and frankly ruined the movie for me. Like, I could have done with this shitty plot and unconvincing characters, but the moment that they try to convince me that Taking Back Sunday is on vinyl in 2005 is the moment where I've lost all immersion. I'm sorry. And I can hear the comments already, but Sausage, CDs can skip too. And yeah, you're right, CDs can skip. But they don't make the vinyl record scratch skipping noise that was added to this scene. And on top of all this, the rest of the album that Error Operator is on, called Louder Now, wasn't released until 2006, a year after the film came out. So it technically wasn't even available on a CD then. Frankly, just an unbelievable oversight on Marvel's part, and I couldn't let it fall by the wayside. No, not me. So there you go. I watched Fantastic Four last night for some reason.